Thanks for joining us. I'm Paula Ebben with a WBZ News update. Our top stories: the teachers' strike in Newton continues for a seventh day, but now both sides are saying that progress and negotiations are finally being made. They were able to work on updating parental leave and adding a fourth year to the contract, like the union wants. Officials insist they can't give the union everything it's asking for without layoffs or program cuts. The union now has a fine of $175,000 for continuing the strike, and that goes up to $375,000 if they don't stop today. The commission investigating the mass shootings in Lewiston, Maine, are hearing from a sheriff's department today, and we've learned that those close to the shooter, including his ex-wife and his son, had warned law enforcement about his strange behavior months before the rampage. Officials say they were asked by the family not to contact him, preventing them from applying the yellow flag law, which could have revoked his firearm privileges. An independent review from the local sheriff's office found that officers responded appropriately to the wellness checks conducted prior to the shooting. 2 people are hospitalized with serious injuries after they were pulled from this burning home in Newton. Fire investigators are trying to figure out what sparked it. This was on Lincoln Road. The fire chief tells us there were real challenges reaching the people on the first floor and the basement. Paramedics took both fire victims to the hospital. Let's get a check of the forecast now with Jason Mikell.
Well, Paula, we begin again talking about the cloud cover that we had across the region. Earlier this morning, we had dense fog, roughly about a half mile or so, mainly along the south shore of the Cape and the Islands. But look at the clouds. We're beginning to improve in terms of our conditions. Staying a little bit soggy out there still, nonetheless, for our Thursday. But again, not any sort of high impact, moderate to heavy rain across the area. Current temperatures around the 50-degree mark, where we should be in the mid-30s for late January. But, you know, it feels like it is early fall after all. Look at the rainfall chances begin to increase past bedtime tonight, going from about 5% around the drive at 5, really climbing and cresting roughly around 5 and 6 a.m. Well, most people are getting out of bed, getting ready to start their day. Additional rainfall will, for some, may be beneficial, but for others, we don't need any more rain because we've already had a rain-soaked and even a very wet winter season after all, and we're not barely even a month over in. As far as the rainfall accumulations, a half inch, perhaps appreciating roughly up to an inch in some isolated spots. So again, not a high-impact event expected. But with overnight lows getting back into the mid to upper 30s, it will feel like where it should be for this time of year. But there's also something beautiful happening in the sky today as well. Once we get into midday for our Thursday, that's when likely the peak of the first full moon of winter, at least 2024, will happen. It's called the wolf moon. But overnight tonight, you'll be able to see where it's likely going to be at its fullest. Again, we'll have a lot of cloud cover. We'll have rain moving back in, so the chances of seeing that will be all but non-existent. As far as highs on Friday, again, noticeably different across the area. Once the rain moves on out, clouds will linger, but there will be another shot of cooler air moving back in. So the 50s today will likely be the 30s tomorrow. Let's roll the clock forward here. You can see we're already again pulling in that easterly wind. And I like to say there's nothing good that comes from an easterly wind. 5, 6, 7 a.m. the plume of moisture moves in from the west, heads out towards the east, roughly around 8, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. There will be a little bit of patch of some freezing rain, perhaps even some icy mix, mainly north of the border. That is going to be the first half of our Friday. All the precip is out of here. Clouds are going to be lingering. We're going to pull in some colder air for us on Friday into Saturday, Saturday into Sunday, remaining a bit more on the cooler side before the snow begins to move back in. So we're going to cut this off right here. I'm going to move a little bit forward and also expand the view so you can see exactly how this system unfolds. This will be high impact rain moving up the I-95 corridor, beginning in D.C., up through Philly, up to New York, and eventually moving up into Boston. The difference between New York and Boston will be sort of that rain-snow line, how much air will be warm enough to get in the mid and upper levels to sort of soften the blow of the snow moving on in. But what's a given is once that line moves into Boston and the low pressure moves out to sea, it'll wrap around colder air and push all the snow all the way down from the base of the clouds to the ground, and where we will see snow lingering over into Monday. Here is the next 7. Plenty to talk about in that 7-day, right? 50s today, 40s tomorrow. A few spotty showers are going to be possible for us on Friday. By Saturday, we'll work in a little bit more sunshine, a few pop-ups here and there. By Sunday, that rain mix develops in the afternoon. More prominent snowfall begins to move in late in the evening and overnight. That'll spill over into Monday, but notice the temperatures on Monday. Around 30 degrees in the daytime, same for Tuesday, but teens in the overnights, and surely, Paula, it'll feel like the single-digit wind chills Tuesday morning and likely for some on Wednesday morning.
Yikes. Thanks, Jason. I'm Paula Ebben. This has been a WBZ News Update.